A recent student survey indicated that coaches of high school athletes are likely to be one of the first people that students will choose to discuss topics related to substance abuse and other at-risk behaviors. This relationship of trust and open communication is an area that advocates in the prevention community would like to strengthen and provide additional education to these mentors.
So we were here this morning at Mill Pond Country Club.
Today the goal was to do a couple of things. We had a certain amount of hours and tried to plan the day to be able to do several things. One, we invited about 15 agencies to be able to be a resource so that the coaches can go and visit the table, ask questions, make some relationships, be able to get information so that if they did identify something, they can provide something for their students. Secondly, it was about bringing in some speakers that might be able to connect with the audience. So myself, I gave a little bit of an overview about community solutions. Linda Ventura, who's a mom who lost her son, who gave a perspective of a parent. Tom Goris, who is a young man who's in recovery, who was an athlete, who has gone through the struggles of addiction and has been sober for almost a year. So we gave them several different views, and then we brought in a speaker, John Venza, who talked about the current trends.
Yeah, a short while back, we hosted a youth forum over at Outreach House in Brentwood. And at the end of the forum, we got some questions and answers from the young people. And when the data got crunched, one of the things that was pretty obvious was when they were asked the question, who would you speak to about a drug problem for yourself or for a friend or something, they said coaches. So coaches got identified as a go-to person.
So we really gave them a parent's view, of a young man who struggled with addiction, and then we gave them a professional outlook of the current situation and what potential answers there can be to the situation.
Well, we all know that right now heroin, drug use, it's prevalent in all school districts.
We hear people talking about the opiate issue and an epidemic, and it truly is an epidemic. It's been classified by the CDC as an epidemic, but it's more than just a classification. We're seeing kids from all different socioeconomic backgrounds throughout every school district being impacted by this.
Section 11, who is the governing body for Suffolk County Athletics, felt that we needed to take a proactive approach.
Section 11 is an arm of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. It's our job here in Section 11 to govern and administer the athletic programs of the student athletes of Suffolk County. We serve as the administrative arm of the State Education Department and the Commissioner of Education.
Well, we're trying to get a better understanding of the issues facing our athletes and our students here in Suffolk County, and to see how we as educators can help out to educate the students and the parents against drug and alcohol use.
Today is important because coaches play an integral part of any child in especially high school's life, their student life. My son Andrew had such a special connection to his coach, and he often has told me, if you don't respect your coach, you don't respect anybody, nor are you afraid of anybody. So they have a lot of power in how a young athlete, a young student will come through high school.
We felt that student athletes, their number one go-to person is the coach. So as Director of Athletics, we felt it was our job to put out something where coaches are in the front lines, being able to reach out to their student athletes in the case that they need some type of help with drugs or addiction.
Very often coaches are also health teachers, they teach gym class, so where they're critical and pivotal with their student athletes, they're also pivotal and critical in their unique relationship in the coursework that they teach in gym class or health class with the entire student body. So they build different rapport in their classrooms, I think, than other classrooms. That's not to say that other teachers don't build that rapport, but just the subject matter and the setting allows them to build this tremendous relationship with them that they avail themselves as that type of adult person that they can go to if the problem or if there's something they need to talk about.
Yeah, I think the important piece is with Anthony and John coming in, I think it provides some firsthand knowledge. In some of the cases, we've heard people that have gone through some challenges and through some struggles, and how they've been able to use resources and how they've been able to move on positively in their lifestyle. And certainly with John, his expertise and the guidance and some of the resources he's provided our athletic directors, I think is going to be critical.
The unique relationship that athletes have with the coaches is a feeling of trustworthiness, comfortability in going to them to speak with. Many coaches establish a solid rapport with their student athletes, and there's a level of, like again, I go back to being comfortable speaking to their coach or to their physical education teacher or to their health teacher. So that relationship and that rapport really opens up the lines of communications in a world very often where kids remain closed off.
The coaches have such an impact on their athletes, on their student athletes, that if they are aware that their team is going to football parties that include alcohol and pot, then they need to step up and they need to, whether that's their star player or not their star player, bench the player, interfere, intervene, and do whatever's necessary to stop the cycle where it is and show the rest of the team that it's unacceptable behavior.
One of our goals was to help coaches and the athletic directors understand the key role that they play with the young people in their charge. You know, they have a special relationship with these kids. Sometimes it really helps out when kids are in conflict with their own parents, and they have the opportunity to help these kids through some difficult stuff. When drugs and alcohol come into the picture very often, these folks are fantastic resources. We wanted them to understand A, the importance of the role, but B, also build a little capacity, give them a little bit more knowledge, information about some of the contemporary trends, why they're so important, why their relationships as caring, healthy, appropriate role models are really, from a resiliency paradigm, so critical to these kids. And I think sometimes, you know, they do such a great job and they do what they do the coaches day in and day out with these kids, but not really knowing and hearing from the professionals in the treatment field, hey, you don't realize how important you are to these young people in battling back from some of these risks they're exposed to.
The student athletes, as has been pointed out today in the workshop, I think one of the most influential people in their lives is the athletic directors and their coaches. Oftentimes, they're spending as much or more time with the coaches than they are at home because of the many issues and in today's society. And it is our hope that the coaches will provide positive examples for each of the student athletes.
You know, besides educating the student athletes, it's important that we educate the parents as well. We need to make sure just the lines of communication from student to coach, we want to make sure the lines of communication from student or child to parent is prevalent as well. And as a coach or coaches, what we can do is, just like we're educating our student athletes, we need to educate parent meetings. A workshop like this in our high school would be fantastic.
I think the biggest thing that I got at this was being able to let coaches know how much their athletes think about them and the special bond that they have that even their own parents don't have.